Jaya Prajananandana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Prajananandana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Prajananandana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Nithai Gaura Hari Bol Bol Hari Bol Nithai Gaura Hari Bol Nithai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nithai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. So welcome to this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam program in this very, very auspicious month of Damodar, when the Lord was tied around his belly by Mother Yashoda, and that's a great Leela indeed. So really speaking, this month is the glorification of Mother Yashoda more than Damodar, because Yashoda Maya was able to tie Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, around in the belly. So normally whatever auspicious activity we do during this month is multiplied 100 times. So if you chant 16 rounds, it's like chanting 1,600 rounds during this month. But when we are in a dham, the auspiciousness gets multiplied 1,000 times. And we all understand that any temple of Sri Radha Krishna and any temple where Srimad Bhagavatam is discussed is a dham and no different from a dham. So as long as we continue reading Bhagavatam, studying Bhagavatam and preaching to others the Srimad Bhagavatam and the wonderful message of Srimad Bhagavatam, all the auspicious activities that we do in this month gets multiplied 1,000 times. So that's the wonderful aspect of Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives us the essence of all the Vedas, and it gives us the essence of all the scriptures itself. Srila Prabhupada is popularly called as the essentialist. There are so many things that we can do to benefit our spiritual lives, and there are so many routes which in the Vedas prescribed. But Srila Prabhupada just gave us the right essence of all the Vedic scriptures which are essential for spiritual perfection. So Srila Prabhupada, by preaching the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, is to be known as the greatest essentialist for human existence. So it's wonderful to be with all of you in this glorious month of Damodar, where Mother Yashoda needs to be glorified every day during this month and eternally. So we are discussing the first canto, second chapter, sloka number 24 today. Before that, I'll just pray to the Guru and the Parampara and Srila Prabhupada's mercy for being able to speak a few words on this very, very important sloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Rudrishmati Bhakti Vrindato Vishnu Jaya Krishna Prastaya Rudrishmati Shivaram Swami Nidanamani Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Rudrishmati Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschate Deshaparini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvase Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanitaya Cha Jagadvitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Mancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So last time we came, we discussed about the summary of the chapter 1, if I'm not mistaken, of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We have reached thus far 23 slokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the second chapter, and we make a humble attempt to discuss the 24th verse and the significance of this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So we can repeat this sloka once and then we'll go for the word by word meaning, and we will read from Srila Prabhupada's purport to this sloka. Parthiva-dharuno dhumas, Parthiva-dharuno dhumas, Tasmat agnistrayimaya, Tamasastu rajas tasmat, Sattvam yat brahma darshinam, Sattvam yat brahma darshanam, Parthiva dharuno dhumas, Tasmat agnistrayimaya, Tamasastu rajas tasmat, Sattvam yat brahma darshanam. Parthivad, from earth. Dharuna, firewood. Dhumaha, smoke. Tasmat, from that. Agni, fire. Trayi, Vedic sacrifices. Mayaha, made of. Tamasaha, in the mode of ignorance. Tu, but. Rajaha, the mode of passion. Tasmat, from that. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Tat, which. Brahma, the absolute truth. Darshanam, realization. Translation. Firewood is the transformation of earth. Yeah, you all can repeat. But smoke is better than raw wood. And fire is still better. For by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic scriptures. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is better because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone from the platform of tamas can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such progressive march. And the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct the disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that the worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separate forms are manifested under the conditions of the material energy, and therefore the form of the material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. The uncivilized state of life or the life of the lower animals are controlled by the mode of tamas. A civilized life of man with a passion to various types of material benefits is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the form of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture with moral and ethical principles, but the mode of sattva is still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one to realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, this shloka gives us the importance to all of us to be in Sattva Gun. We all understand that being in Sattva Gun is only a launching platform for spiritual life. But it's also very, very important that people raise themselves to the mode of Sattva Gun, which is the only way of making them capable of understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth. So, as preachers, it's so important to recognize people who are in Sattva Gun and saying that, this person is materialistic and things like that. But if he is in Sattva Gun and fairly in Sattva Gun, that is a preaching opportunity because he is on the platform that is ready to launch your spiritual life. So it's so important for people to be at least in Sattva Gun, where you can launch your spiritual life and go towards the stage of realizing the Supreme Absolute Truth. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, the chapter 1, we saw how the sages were engaged in the activity of Sattva Gun. They could see the faults of Kali Yuga, and they planned 1,000-year sacrifice to bring down the ill effects of the age of Kali. Nothing much was happening, and at that time Srila Suta Goswami entered the scene in Naimisharanya, and they gave him the seat of honor, and then after giving them the seat of honor, they asked very, very relevant and important questions. Yeah. So what were they? Let's remind ourselves, and we should be by heart with these 6 questions which were asked to Suta Goswami by the sages, who were not able to find an effective solution, even though they were planning a big fire sacrifice for 1,000 years to counteract the ill effects of the age of the Yuga. So the questions which they asked were very relevant for all of us, just as we saw in the Bhagavad Gita chapter number 1. Arjuna asked very, very relevant questions to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which guided the instructions given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, which is benefiting not only Arjuna but all of us for last thousands and thousands of years, which has been an inspiration for our spiritual advancement. So what were the 6 questions which were asked by the sages to Srila Suta Goswami? What is the absolute and the ultimate good for people in general? Yeah. So we just discussed how Srimad Bhagavatam is just giving us the essential knowledge in this short span of time to understand the goal of human life. And then we discussed how Srimad Bhagavatam and how Srila Prabhupada is the essentialist, right? So the question number 2 was, explain the essence of all the scriptures for the good of all living beings. That was question number 2. And then, not that the sages did not know, but they wanted to hear the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, how to inspire a discussion on Krishna Leela. The question number 3 was, why did the Lord appear in the womb of Devaki as son of Vasudeva? So they wanted to listen to the pastimes of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the question number 4 was, describe about the Lord who performs adventures in various incarnations of the Lord. They wanted Suta Goswami to throw light on the different Purusha avatars of the Lord, right? And then they also wanted to narrate the pastimes of the Lord's incarnations, giving us an indication that they wanted to know who are the different Leela avatars of the Lord. And that was question number 5. And the question number 6 is of great significance. Who does the religious principles have taken shelter after the Lord's departure from the earth planet? So that was the last question. So they were extremely worried as to, after the Lord is gone, after his pastimes back to his Golok Dham, how will the religious principles survive? And how does it survive? Through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the sages gathered there, as we said, for a sacrifice of 1,000 years, and nothing much was happening to stall the effects of the Kali Yuga. So the fundamental reason why the sages asked these questions, because they knew the quality of the people in Kali Yuga. This was the fundamental reason why the sages were so concerned. What was that sloka? Explained in sloka number 10 of the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Prayena alpa ayushaha sabya kalau asmin yuge jana manda sumanda mateyo manda bhagya hi upadruta. So people are short-lived, alpa ayushaha, in this age of Kali. Yeah, people are manda, which means they are lazy. They are not lazy to go out there and seek any opportunity to make money and some wealth and accumulate some assets. They are not lazy for that, but they are spiritually lazy. So that's what they were concerned about. And then alpa ayushaha sabya kalo asmin yuge jana. They were misguided by various philosophies, right? There is enough of confusion within the Hindu society in particular, and also in all other religions. I mean, there are more than 70 sects of Islam. There are so many different methods of thought in Christianity as well. It's not that any of the people are united. All of them are misguided. right? And then the other quality is people are very, very unfortunate. Manda bhagya. They are devoid of any fortune in this age of Kali. Look at the contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and look at the contribution of Srila Prabhupada, that in this very, very unfortunate situation, so much of fortune that we have got in this material world, all thanks to them. And then Upadruta, they are mentally disturbed and quarrelsome, right? We are in a situation where a war can break out in this world any time. Yeah, it starts somewhere small in the Arabic world, but this can spread and create a complete war. So mentally, people are disturbed and very, very quarrelsome. There is quarrel all around, right? So the only savior to all the quarrels is Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever there is quarrel and people are mentally disturbed and people are unfortunate, that's the time when the Rakshasas gain power. Whenever there is darkness, that is the breeding ground for power, for the Rakshasas. And that we can see in all the politicians of today, right? So that's because they gain power. When there is mode of ignorance, the Rakshasas gain power. There are a lot of anarthas that we can see all around in the path of our, spiritual development as well. What are those? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions the different types of anarthas that are, yes, some insect. So, what are the different types of anarthas which are there, explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? One is, this is all very relevant to us practicing devotees. So the first is the Utsaha Mahi, which is the exuberance of a new devotee. You take up Krishna consciousness and then you're very, very exuberant. Yeah, there is a sudden high. That's the quality of Krishna consciousness. The graph goes up suddenly, right? Oh wow, this is the best thing that happens. Then the practical aspects come and then it starts dipping down. When it starts dipping down, the second rise is always very, very gradual. And that rise is possible only through the association of devotees. So Utsaha Mahi is the exuberance of a new devotee, false confidence you get that you will not face any challenges in your Krishna consciousness, and there is you are not mature and you are suddenly having a lot of pride and you feel that I have mastered everything. So that is the state of Utsahamai. So these are things which all devotees should take care of. And then Ganatharala is the second anartha which is there, which is, sporadic endeavor. All these, every devotee I can see smiles in the faces, we have all gone through this. Sporadic endeavor is, you keep going from thick to thin, condensed to, diluted suddenly, and then, you chant, you get up one day, today is Sunday, I'm not going anywhere, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're ready at 3:30, and then the whole day you go on chanting the holy names of the Lord, and suddenly you think that you have become Srila Haridas Thakur. And then the very next day there is no chanting at all. So there is a lot of sporadic endeavor which is called as Ganatharala. And then the third anartha, there are many anarthas, but the 6 of them categorized by the sages. The third one is Vyuda Vikalpa. So there is a continuous indecision whether you have to endure, whether you have to enjoy, or you have to renounce everything. So there is a constant state of taking a vow, from today I will chant 16 rounds. And then breaking of the vows also happen, Promises made on January 1st, as they say, is meant to be broken, So January 1st you say that today onwards I'll eat less and I'll hit the gym. The 2nd of January everything else is forgotten and you go back to your ways. That is Vyuda Vikalpa. So Vishaya Vikalpa, that is the waves of Maya keeps hitting you and there is an inability to control your senses. So there is a ongoing battle. So actually Krishna really appreciates a steady and sincere progress in your Krishna consciousness. So when Grihasthas are setting up their altar, so the experts explain what are the minimum standards to be maintained for doing the deity worship at your home. Whatever is practical, whatever is minimum, so that your other practices of Krishna consciousness are not disturbed. So there was a Swami by name Sugunendra Swami who had gone to Kazakhstan for attending a interfaith religious conference. So he was worried where would he stay during that time, and he met the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, who welcomed him and asked him to stay in the complex where devotees in Kazakhstan were staying. So this Swami used to do about 8 hours of deity worship every single day, very detailed deity worship. So deity worship is a big subject, yeah. But at home, we may do it for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and then an offering which takes another 10 minutes. So the minimum standards are all right for Krishna, but consistency is what Krishna is looking for. So that is waves of Maya we discussed, Vishaya Vikalpa. Then Niyamakshana, Niyamakshama, that is the inability to uphold the vows. The Yam and Niyam, we are not able to uphold it for a long time. And then Taranga Rangini, yeah, this is all devotees should be very careful of. We are enjoying the waves of Labha, Puja and Pratishta. As I say always that in the material world, in your office, if you do a good performance, you may be given some motivation by promotion or some money which is given to you as a gift or an incentive, etc., etc. And people may throw a party in your honor and things like that. So that is all right, once the party is over, then everything else is forgotten. You wake up with a headache, you wake up with so many health issues, and you come back to normalcy very soon. Yeah. And the next day, if you don't attend office, the boss even fires you as to what happened, why didn't you come? So that's a very good thing, but spiritual advancement is very dangerous. When you come, everybody bows down to you. Oh, you are the person who's going to give the Srimad Bhagavatam class today. And then, Mr. Nikhil Singh, yeah, comes and offers a garland to you, and then you're given the seat of honor. So, puja, la, pratishtha is very, dangerous thing. So, devotees have to take care. So, and we start aspiring for material facilities. How many times we have seen that a person who is practicing Krishna consciousness, feels that he is entitled to certain benefits. Yeah? So we have to be very careful of that. So these are the different anarthas which can be removed by listening to the answers to the 6 questions of the put by the sages of Naimisharanya to Srila Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami, what does he do when he starts replying in chapter number 2 to all the questions that have been put to him by the sages? He first, in 7 slokas practically, he glorifies the people who have asked him the questions. So it's so important that there are experts to ask even the relevant questions so that it directs the spiritual discussions for the day. And then as he goes on answering the questions, first he establishes how bhakti only has to be gained through the study of the Vedic scriptures. So then the progress of bhakti is discussed from Shraddha to Prema, from sloka number 16 to sloka number 22. And then the object of service, which is this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam of the 2nd chapter, is discussed from sloka number 23 to 29. So specifically in sloka number 24, it is explained the stages of fire, right? First there is earth. From earth it comes the wood, and from the wood comes the smoke, and from smoke comes fire, right? So these are the different stages of development of the fire. But what is important for all of us is not the earth, not the smoke, and it's not the earth even which is the cause of wood, but it is the fire. Fire is so much essential in our day-to-day lives, starting from cooking. We need fire. For electricity, we need, fire. And then all the industries are practically running because of this aspect of fire. So heat and fire are so important. So we need fire. So many things can be done if fire is there. Yeah. So we all understand, Srila Prabhupada refers to this in the purport, how Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are all different forms of Krishna who take care of the different modes of material nature, right? So in spite of that, it is Vishnu or Sri Krishna who is required and not Brahma or Shiva. So it is Vishnu or Krishna which is compared to the fire. So as far as Brahma and Shiva are concerned, they are in charge of the different modes of material existence. Brahma is taking care of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva takes care of the mode of ignorance. It does not mean that Brahma is in the mode of passion, nor does it mean that Shiva is in the mode of ignorance, right? So that is not what it means. But Lord Shiva is so merciful that he uplifts the consciousness of people who are in the mode of ignorance as well. So that is the compassion of a devotee, to raise everybody to the level of knowing and realizing the supreme absolute truth. So fire is compared to the mode of goodness, which is essential for everyone to come to in the human form of life. Other forms of life in the mode of ignorance and mode of passion are not sufficient to help you realize the supreme absolute truth. So earth, which is just dead earth, is mode of ignorance, is not useful to any of us, but this earth is having the potential to form the wood. If you pour water, nourish the earth, then there are trees, and from trees there is wood. And then, so it's important, but we have to realize that the first step is to get to the mode of goodness or the sattva gun. So in the mode of ignorance, there is absolutely no possibility of having any spiritual knowledge. Mode of passion, as is explained in this sloka, is more useful because there is little activity in the mode of passion. So that activity also, unless it is given a direction, is of no use. So we see a dog, running here and there. It looks like it's having some serious business to do. It runs for a while, looks in another direction, and then runs in that direction. Even better than the dog running, you can take the example of a monkey which jumps from branch to branch and does a lot of activity, right? But even this activity is many times just an unnecessary disturbance, to society. So the dog is also running, barking. There's a particular variety. I've done some research on dogs. There is one particular variety of dog which is brown in color with black stripes. If when they are alone, they are all right. But when they are with others, they start running behind every car and every vehicle and scaring up the people. It's some kind of a variety of mad dogs. We have to research on this now to find out. So brown stripes, and a brown colored dog with black stripes. Be careful of these dogs. They are running without meaning and they only cause disturbance. They don't eat humans, so biting them, their needs for satisfying their hunger is not going to be resolved. But they just they are like the terrorists among dogs, head of the terrorist gangs. So this running without direction, without meaning, is of no use and it can be a disturbance to society. So human beings are blessed with the brains which can discriminate between good and bad, right? It's not that the animals do not have brains. Their senses, some of their senses are even stronger than that of other living entities. My spiritual master is still an expert in knowing whether the perfumes are genuine. Most of these perfumes are made of different types of chemicals. So the real oil perfumes is what you have to offer to the Lord. They are genuine oils, and these are very, very expensive, available in only certain places. It could cost anywhere between 5 to 15,000 rupees for a thola of oil. That's some 10 grams of oil will be like 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees. So he can recognize which is pure oil and which is chemical oil. So he used to always say, but probably because I was a dog in my previous birth. So they have much better sensory perception than human beings many times. But they engage in foolish activity without any meaning, right? So human beings are capable of sober activity, right? So we see a judge in the high court, what is he doing? He just sits in the chair with two guards on both the sides, and the lawyers are desperately arguing with each other. They have made a lot of study before coming to meet the judge, and the judge just sits there soberly, and he sits on the chair, but he is thinking. So that is the job of a human being. We have to think and act with discrimination. That is the purpose of human life. In the modern world, we see it is characterized by very foolish activity, and lots of accidents happen, wars happen. There is people are wasting their time, if we may say so. And there has been a gradual evolution that has taken place. We were first in the aquatic form, then we got the life of plants, then we got the life of insects, birds, bees, and finally we got this human birth. and then without any purpose we go about life, right? So the often quoted sloka from the Mahabharata, Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithunamcha, Samanyam, Etad, Pashubir Naranam, Dharmo Hitesho, Adiko Vishesho, Dharmena Hina, Pashubir Samana. So Ahara, which is the aspect of eating, Nidra, which is sleeping, Bhaya, which is a typical characteristic of material life, so which is fearful existence. So to protect ourselves from fear, we engage in lots of activity. And then Maitunamcha, which is sex life. So Samanyam etat Pashubir Narana. So the Pashu and Nara have these four potency of Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya and Maitunamcha. But what differentiates human beings? Dharmo hitesho, adhiko vishesho, right? So dharma, or the aspect of religiosity, is the differentiating factor between humans and animals. Dharmena hina, if there is no inquiry into the supreme absolute truth, pashubir samana. So we are as good as human animal existence. So the Vedic injunctions, as we have seen in this sloka, is recommending fire sacrifices, right? And we all know that what's the final recommendation for spiritual perfection? Prabhupada has been so kind, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been so kind. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So yet the Vedic injunctions are recommending fire sacrifices. Why are the Vedic injunctions recommending these fire sacrifices? Because human beings have a disease, the desire to see what is being done, right? We want to do something and we want to see how the offerings are put into, the oblations are put into the fire, and how the fire is consuming that. We want to see everything, right? So if there is, if we call people for a kirtan program, nobody comes. And then if we call people for Bhagavad Gita class, okay, I'll try, I'll come. And then about 5% turn up for the Bhagavad Gita class. Like Amalatma Prabhu was mentioning how there is a challenge in the society where he lives. So I was recommending to him, I don't like this word, but still we have to use that word for convenience. We'll make a secular presentation of Krishna consciousness. Call them all for the Damodar Leela, make a nice poster as to the importance of offering the lamp, which brings in natural light in your lives and adds lot of positivity. These are things which people relate to better. So a lot of positivity will be there. So let's light the lamp on this occasion of Diwali. And then we used to do that in the Gulf. We used to call a lot of variety of people, Muslims also, who are in the mode of Sattva Gun, who are ready to listen to the message a little, but still they are inclined to their religious practices. And we used to call a lot of Christians as well. And we used to tell about the importance of lighting of lamp and what happened during Diwali. And then we used to tell them, look, normally it's a practice to light the lamp and keep it in front of the altar. But if you have a problem of lighting the lamp and keeping it in the altar, please, the house is big enough, you can keep the lamp anywhere and help us, sort of ignite the auspiciousness around our house. You will be doing us a great favor. So when we say that, they do it. Some of them keep it in the altar. You can see them literally thinking what to do, what not to do. Some of them know, just to respect the host, let me place it in front of the altar. Some will go around the house and do a production of the house, which is including the altar, and then they place the lamp somewhere in the house. So mercy of Damodar comes even to them. So generally the third class men want to see, and that process of seeing what's happening is through the process of yajna, where you can see the yajna consuming the offerings to the yajna. So what does the Brahma Samhita say? Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So the Lord is the form of bliss, truth and dazzling splendor. Right? Fire has got this quality as well. And each limb of the Lord possesses full-fledged functions of all the organs, right? So He eternally sees, maintains and manifests infinite number of universes, both in the spiritual world and in the mundane material world. So with our eyes we can only perform one activity, and that is to see. But the Lord, Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti. So with the Lord's eyes He can eat, right? He can use His eyes to eat. Ears, He can eat with His ears. We can only hear with our ears, which also gets impaired with age, right? So the Lord can eat with His ears, and the Lord can see with His tongue. With our tongues we can only taste. So that is the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And materialist question that you say you are making an offering to the Lord, but the full bhog that is offered is still lying on the plate. Where is the Lord taking the offering? So the Lord is not looking for your offering which He consumes, but because of His absolute nature, He can eat it fully and also keep the full thing back on the plate, right? Because He is Supreme Absolute Truth. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 26 sloka 9th chapter, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahridam asnami prayatatmanaha. So what He is looking for is not your patram, pushpam, phalam and toyam, which He is self-sufficient and He gets everything, but He has got one weakness, which is faith, love and devotion. That's what He wants to see in all of us. And He gets completely captured if we have these three things, faith, love and devotion. And that was the only aspect why Mother Yashoda was able to bind Krishna with her belly, because of her love and devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why the love of Yashoda is considered the greatest, even greater than the mother who gave Him the birth in the prisons of Mathura, Devaki. Yeah? Because Devaki also, when Krishna was born, was able to see Him in the four-handed Narayana form. So she was conscious of the fact that her son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Mother Yashoda's love, she doesn't know about all these things. She just feels that, Krishna is her darling son, helpless son, who needs help and who needs service all the time. So that aspect of reverence, South India is famous for, the reverential form of worship, which is the Aishwarya Bhav. So Aishwarya, or the knowing the opulent nature of the Lord, comes as a curtain between expression of free flow of love. So in case of Yashoda Maya, she didn't think that her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know. Even when she saw Krishna's mouth, because Balram complained about the mud, she always thought that, well, this must be some, I'm a village lady, ignorant of, the spiritual knowledge. Somebody would have played black magic on me, and that's why I'm seeing all these things. How can the entire universe be inside the mouth of my son? So there was no curtain to stop her from loving her son Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is God's position. He can devour the whole universe, as we see in the Virat Rupa chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He can devour the entire universe, because he wants to show the materialist, because materialist wants to see something, right? He's not fond of it. In fact, Arjuna said, please stop this. Come back to your Shyam Sundara form again. It was nice to see for some time, but now I would like to worship your Shyama Sundara form. So the atheists will never be able to get convinced, but we know that the God is Supreme Absolute Truth, so He can eat and leave the full offering on the plate as well. That is why it is called as Prasadam, and Prasadam simply means mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it says in this verse, I think, Tasmat Agni Trayi Maya. So there are three departments of spiritual knowledge. One is the Karma Kanda section, which is the fruitive activity, which is characterized by fire sacrifices. And through this process of Karma Kanda activity, you obviously get association of some priests who are doing this activity, so there is a chance of spiritual development. Then there is another Traimai, which is Jnana Kanda section, which is knowledge of the Vedas and pursuit of knowledge in general. And then the Upasana Kanda, which explains the different forms of worship and meditation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which should ultimately lead to, what is the last line of the verse? Brahma Darshanam. Brahma Darshanam is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the basic requirement of getting Brahma Darshanam, is to be, as explained and stressed in the sloka, is to be in the mode of goodness. First come to the mode of goodness to realize the Supreme Absolute Truth. So scientists have been doing so many different types of research to get at the ultimate source of everything, but they still cannot get it because they are not in the mode of goodness. Well, that is generally, that's quoted by Srila Prabhupada in many of the purports, but I have seen that many of the scientists are in the mode of goodness. We had in our Element 3 restaurant some 150 workforce from the Indian Space Research Organization. They wanted to celebrate the launch of Agni into the orbit, right? So to have that celebration, first of all, they made a sattvic choice of asking us for the place. And then we said, look, we cannot accommodate 80 people and more than 80 people in the restaurant. They said, no, we have organized that as well. 50 people will come at 12 o'clock, 50 people will come at 1 o'clock, and the other 50 will come at 2 o'clock. But we want to have sattvic food. And a lot of things to be learned from these scientists. Many of these scientists are people who have participated in the Chandrayaan project of the government of India, and I'm sure many of them would have rubbed shoulders with the Prime Minister during that time. But still, they're very, very humble, soft spoken, and wearing traditional dresses. You can mistake any of them for being a normal housewife doing household chores, but they're all leading scientists of the country. So they're all targets for all of us. Anybody whom you see in the mode of goodness, please do not ignore them. Preach to them. And even in the community, look for the mode of goodness and package the message of Krishna consciousness so that they can get the sweetness of Krishna consciousness and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So most scientists many of them are atheists, they are not in the mode of goodness, and they cannot therefore get to the ultimate source of everything that is, because that is the fundamental requirement as explained in the 7th chapter, 3rd sloka. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. Out of many thousands of people, one may endeavor for perfection, and out of those thousands of men who endeavor for perfection, hardly one may know me in truth, Krishna says. So who are these very, very special people? People like Yashoda Maya, people like the Vrajavasis, the Pandavas, they are the people who know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to understand the Brahman or the Supreme Absolute Truth, the preliminary understanding is Brahman realization. As it is explained in the 11th sloka of this same chapter, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvams tu ajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabhyate. The learned scholars, transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, realize in 3 stages. One is Brahman or the impersonal realization, Paramatma who is within ourselves, and Bhagavan iti sabhyate. How beautiful is the message of Krishna consciousness as explained by Srila Prabhupada, that we need not go through the lift and one by one, floor 2, 4, 3. Straight away is putting us in the platform of Bhagavan realization through the study of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So the mode of goodness, which is absolutely essential for spiritual advancement, cannot be attained by people who do not follow the 4 regulative principles, which is meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. Yeah. So first is people should be encouraged. First I used to be against this vegetarian society of the world. Why aren't they giving this direct message of Krishna consciousness? And sometimes I'm able to appreciate what they are doing. If at least people can be made vegetarians, at least there is a chance that they will move up to the mode of goodness, which will help. So in the process of Atato Brahma Jigyasa, which is the inquiry into the supreme absolute truth. Yeah. So human beings must discriminate what you want to do and what you don't want to do if we have to increase our level of consciousness. Yeah. So you take a pig and you feed it with halwa, it appreciates halwa, and then if you give it stool, it will appreciate that also. And he may think that this stool is better tasting than halwa also, right? No discrimination. So tiger is very fond of blood and doesn't discriminate. Yeah. So these are different aspects which we have to really understand and pray to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives us the knowledge of the scriptures as it is explained in the 15th sloka of the chapter number 15 of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Ridhi Sannivishtaho Mattaha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedescha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham. So he is sitting in our hearts, Hridi Sannivishto, and he gives us, what are the things he gives us? Mattaha Smriti Jnanam. Smriti is remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Jnanam is knowledge about the Supreme Personality. Apohanam cha, forgetfulness, which is a favor done by the Lord. We don't want to be remembering that we were a donkey in our previous life and how our master was beating us with a stick. That's an unnecessary thing which can be very, very demotivating. So, apohanam cha. And then what is the goal of human life? Vedescha sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. So, all this knowledge is given to us by the scriptures, and we have to live the instructions given by the scriptures and make reading Srimad Bhagavatam as a habit. All of us are in the mode of goodness, but still it's a work in progress. It's only a launching pad for spiritual advancement. So two responsibilities: from the mood of goodness, let us use that as a launching pad and perfect our Krishna consciousness, and besides that, help the society in general to move to the level of mode of goodness and make their lives successful also, and package the message of this beautiful Krishna consciousness as it is required by the audience, and make sure everybody gets the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.